6:31, I'll call the meeting to order. First up, is there any modifications or changes? We didn't have any. All right, we'll move on to public comment then. Is there anybody here from the public that wishes to speak tonight? Cindy?
I just have a couple questions, because I know that the village purchased 4 speed signs. Where are they?
There's 2.
Okay, there's 2, but I haven't seen one.
One on Water Tower, one on Pleasant, or sorry, Orchard. And then there's another, we have them set up in a rotation. They will make it to Elm and Pleasant eventually.
Okay. And the welcome sign to Enosburg, I thought that changed. And that's still that little cow, and if I can have it, I would love to take that cow.
It should be going up in the next, let's say, month or so. They're ready. We're just waiting for John Johnson to have the time to install them. So they will be going up. I think they were starting with 2 of the town signs, and then they'll do the 2 village signs now.
Good. Thank you. Just curious.
Any other public comment? Cindy?
I think it'll be brought up a little bit later about the Historical Society.
It's an agenda item.
Yeah.
It's an agenda item?
Yeah,
I don't
hold
see
on.
the agenda. Okay, so we'll just wait. Thank you.
All right, is that it for public comment? Let's move on to sheriff police coverage. Good evening, Roger.
Good evening. If you don't mind, I'll sit right here so I can address you all.
All right, so what do we have for discussion topics for this? Just general speeding? Or do you have any specific coverage?
So we basically, we had Sheriff Longman at our meeting, the last meeting we had, and he came in and spoke in regards to some issues that some village folks had. So I'd asked us, kind of bang for the buck with this joint meeting having to come tonight as well. We didn't know if there's some things out in town that need to be looked at. I guess at the end of the day, you folks took the bill for it, so that's just the reason why we had them asked them to come in tonight. We kind of discussed the village issues, have gone over them. Some of it was speeding through some of the different water tower and so forth. We've definitely stepped up coverage for some of that stuff. I've seen improvement and seen some changes. So again, we just didn't know if there's anything in the town that you folks had or.
No, I'd like to step back. You made a comment that we put the bill. It's everyone puts the bill, but when it's through the general fund, because years ago the village had their own coverage and the general fund had the coverage. So in essence, the village people were paying 75% of the bill. And that former manager sat down and we agreed that we should combine and do one contract. That's why we're doing it this way. And there was some discussion, and you weren't here earlier this spring, because the contracts went up so significantly. To keep it the same price as in the past, we want 2 days less coverage. But then the SRO was offered out there, and as a town, we didn't feel we needed the extra hours, but it was offered to the village if we wanted those hours for the summer months to patrol. He was turned down. The SRO is not patrolling.
Well, he is. He's patrolling, but he's doing it through the village, through the contract. So he is out, but he's not being paid through an SRO. We're using it as contract.
Oh, so he's one of the actual coverage people.
Right. Yep.
It's still the same amount of hours.
Yes. And it's a huge advantage. He knows all the people, he knows the kids, he knows the players. A lot of cars that we get complaints on, he knows who the addresses in the cars. So it works out well for us.
What did you see in your week where you're patrolling on the water tower road?
We assigned a deputy there like hours at a time, a couple hours here, and then leave and then come back. I think the biggest impact we had is we went to who we suspected was the biggest violator and had a conversation with him. Thus far, it seems to have worked. He appreciated me going to him and talking to him first. If we need to do that on a periodic basis, we will. You know, it's good to write tickets, but going through court is a whole other thing. So if you can gain compliance through cooperation, then sometimes you
It's a lot easier.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Okay, so I think like one of the things that prompts us being on a joint agenda is, you know, the village, and I definitely can't speak for what happens in the towns with speeding and other violations, but we see speeding, we see people, like sometimes on the wrong side of the road, you can just look at the pavement, there's all of those tire marks, you can hear it across the village. So like that's the noise thing, but it's also a major safety issue. When we had our meeting, I think it was a week and a half ago or something, story of a person driving across the side of the road and running over my mailbox. My mailbox is right on there. Sometimes my child goes there. Other people's children, children get into the road. So it's every couple of weeks, I feel like we're talking about there's some speeding issues, there's some noise issues, there's still no tires. So it's kind of like a combination of like what can we do moving forward, looking into future contracts, and working with the sheriff's department, and also like within the village, at least like thinking of other measures for how do we support the community to kind of change it from like a cultural perspective as well. But like it requires a couple of different tactics, and some of the things that I hear from people is nobody's pulling anybody over. I see a lot of people parking in no parking spaces. They're essentially allowed to because there's nobody there monitoring that, which gives us a level of complacency, and people are not caring about the speeding and about the noise and the recklessness and the safety issues that people come to us all the time to complain about. So we keep bringing it up to see like what can we do. I know we have another year before the contract is up. Is that 2 years?
We need in 21.
Time is going by so slowly.
Is it 3 years?
Yeah, so I don't know, it comes up a lot of just these issues, and it's one piece of the puzzle for addressing them.
It's interesting because we just got an email today from the Governor's Highway Safety asking that it's not a new program, but that law enforcement be more aggressive as a whole towards speed enforcement. And we've been trying to do that all along. You know, I wish we had more staffing. I would have through Governor's Highway Safety a team of 3 or 4 deputies if I could get them to work a town one day, work another town the next day, and another town the next day. The issue you're speaking of is not just countywide, statewide, it's nationwide. I travel the county quite a bit with black marks, it seems to be everywhere. I see them, and I'm just like, a lot of times they're right in front of the house, you see a sports car right there, and you assume it's the car that did it. So you're right, they're bold, they're not afraid of getting caught. We've written a lot of tickets, deputies go to a lot of traffic court, to enforce those tickets. And most of the time the people don't even show up, and it's a $75 fee just to hear it in front of the judge. They don't care. I don't know if they're paying those tickets, we don't see that. But we are issuing tickets. If you look at your town report, I think last year in the county, deputies issued nearly 3,700 tickets/warnings. That's pretty aggressive. That's up from the previous years. We're going to look to continue that. Staffing this year, first year of COVID, we did well. We had 0 COVID infections. This year, not so much. And when we got them, it seemed like 2 at a time. And then we had some families that the deputy was exposed and sent home back. So we've had a few things happen where, staffing are really tight, command staff, but actually do some patrolling. But hopefully, when we get out of this COVID thing, we stay fully staffed, hire a few more. We got one who's in FDO now, we got one that just came out of FDO training, so now we can go on the road to help us. Because if I could get those 3 extra deputies on the road, we'll work the towns that we patrol, like Enosburg and Richford and Fairfax, and just totally aggressive motor vehicle enforcement, because we recognize it's out of control. But to be behind somebody, like you might feel in your career, there's only twice in the industry I saw somebody pull a U-turn in front of me, you know? And you see that, and you're like, oh my God, perfect. But to see somebody light up their tires in front of you too, it's like, perfect. You don't see that very often, because they're looking for marked cars. And we tried doing unmarked cars for a while, thinking, oh, this will work for us, but then you don't see the cars out there, and it's like, where's the deputies? You know, so kind of a double-edged sword for us, so we've gone to all marked cars and accepted them. But we'll do what we can to keep the speed enforcement up. I love the signs that are out there, in Orchard Street and Water Tower, and, you know, we have a speed card we bring along as well to different towns. I do think those work, we get some positive results from them. I'm sure you guys have gotten those results as well, and the speed knockers everybody.
Now, what percentage of night coverage do we get per week?
We kind of rotate. I don't have a percentage for you, but we'll do like nights for a while, we'll do days for a while, just to shake things up.
I'm sure most of the stuff probably happens in early evening hours.
And that's all right.
5 in the morning.
I have one thing, it's a village issue, but it's a town issue, I think, for you guys. And that's the public parking lot that's at the Opera House, which the town owns. And I believe the windows are all being restored. Yep. And I live kind of adjacent to the Opera House, and I can hear the stones flying and hitting things when a couple of pickup trucks are over there in that dirt parking lot. And every time I hear them, I think about those stained glass windows, wondering what's going to happen to them. I didn't know, I mean, you guys don't live next door to the Opera House, so you might not hear it, but it's evident from my house.
It probably won't happen right off, but Joey, this past Monday brought in front of us, there's a grant for upgrading parking lots.
Oh,
And municipal,
right there.
for the
Still
parking
falls away
lot.
from them. Yeah.
So, you know, it's something we're looking at pursuing, but, you know, it'd be great if we could pave it so they take away the stone issues. Also, we had in front of us, lighting. We're gonna get lighting. The quote we had in front of us, we didn't feel was sufficient. We wanted to add some others, so we picked that back
That's
to see
great,
what the
because,
quote is.
you know,
Because
if
on
they
top of
figure
that, what
everybody's
we
looking
wanna
at
do is be able to put some cameras up too, because
Cameras
you know,
don't lie.
it's something, you got the Opera House, you know, these buildings are starting to put cameras in there because it's just starting to get out of hand. And at least with cameras, we hold some pause, because that has, you know, the garbage in the air. We know it's a place that they're hanging out more than it should be. But I think if we get some more lighting in there, it'll hopefully help that situation.
I live on Elm Street, just up the street here, and tonight, just a few minutes ago, there was a car coming in at its, regular speed limit, not breaking the speed limit, and a motorcycle passed him right on Main Street here. A red motorcycle just came, and he didn't have time to slow down, he passed him, and you know how it goes, you can't see when you're coming in there.
I was on my way home from Plattsburgh. I picked up a couple friends of mine from the airport. I'm probably third in line on Route 78. Everybody knows 78 is much like 105. And all of a sudden, on my left-hand side of my window, there's a guy there on a motorcycle, side by side with me and the yellow line. He passes me in front, and then he gets to the next car, same thing, gets up by the driver's side door and passes that car. Then he's on a curve. He passes out again. He stays on the yellow line. Coming the other way was a tractor trailer. So the older people that I picked up both like gasped for air. And I said, well, at least we'd be a good witness to this. But the driving like that is out of control. We get it. We've attempted to stop some motorcycles that have fled us and we didn't pursue for public safety reasons.
I have a quick question.
So it's tough.
So the contract, I don't know the nuances of the contract and you said that SRO and everything, but so are there still hours for an SRO, like for another position that you could fill for the summer? Because you said he's part of the contract.
Yeah, we're using him as a contract, a deputy on the.
So are those SRO hours still, was that still
No,
something?
his SRO hours were stopping.
Oh, so they just transferred basically?
Right, so
I
yeah.
didn't know
so
if there
he
was
can-
like another position that somebody else could use those hours.
No, we do that if we could.
Okay.
But that's double dipping, we do
Okay,
it.
I just was wondering.
Susie?
What's the law around cameras? So my daughter was in Providence, Rhode Island, and every now and then I'd get a ticket where she blew a stop sign or something, and has a picture of her license plate. I think they can't give points because they don't know who the driver is, but they ticket the owner of the vehicle. This peeling out and 360s is like right in the middle of town. I was there one day, they did it at 4 o'clock in front of the, I call it Merchants Bank, community bank right on Main Street. Is there a way, what's the law in Vermont about cameras observing something like that?
The cameras in Rhode Island are property owned by someone else in the town of Rhode Island. Contracts with them, get the percentage of the tickets that are paid.
Okay.
Vermont frowns upon that. So you're probably not gonna see any cameras in Vermont.
But it's not illegal, they just frown on it.
Well, they're not gonna put them out there and profit 10% or whatever the program is that other states take advantage of.
Would a town be able to, because your municipalities do it? If you're not there, they're not doing it, so they know.
Well,
So,
exactly.
I think there is a question maybe of coverage, but that's not gonna resolve that issue.
Right, yeah, you're absolutely right, they know when we're in town or we're not.
Yeah. And Jessica, the school funds cannot pay for an officer for the town when the school's not in session?
I didn't know for the summer. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know. I was just thinking of extra coverage.
There used to be a
So
second contract.
It used to be part of the contract until the last cycle, and then that was, cut. But it sounded like you had different funds to cover that, so we still have that coverage, it sounds like. So he was able to work it out in a different way.
Now, if you think the speed perks are working, have you guys looked into getting more speed perks up with this? I know highway safety can do their equipment side of the grant. Have you got anything that way?
We're looking to do that, to get some more stuff. We're pretty good with our radars and everything that we have, and Happy Gilmore handles that for us. Yeah, we would consider it another park or two. We get a lot of requests for it, to keep a schedule at the office, and we do it for about a week at a time.
So do we just need to call to get on that schedule? I know we have 2 of the speed signs, but we also have like Elm Street and Pleasant Street are also an issue for us, and I don't know about the town, if there's any particular ones that you guys are having complaints on, but I just know that's another funding source.
Do you know of any program, like community programs? I Googled it one day, trying to find like different, I don't know what it looked like, but, you see a little, driving to some communities, they have a community watch sign, and,
There's nothing you can't buy that's out there. But you mentioned speed carts, and I don't know if that would qualify for some of your ARPA money. Because all during COVID, we would get articles statewide and nationwide that fewer cars were on the road, but the speed of those cars were much higher. They haven't come back down now, but the volume of traffic is increased as the speed stayed up there. So I don't know if that would qualify for any ARPA program money that we have to get a speed cart. Because there's documentation out there saying that this is a problem created by COVID.
The timing would make sense then. I don't know if that was, it seems like it's a recent, it's just all of a sudden.
And it's everywhere.
Right.
What was the reasoning from 7 to 5? I just was curious.
The increase in the cost of services.
The town fathers here could probably, your employees didn't do the same thing, people do that thing. When we got there, we were concerned with pay and benefits, and training. The past administration, they had those same concerns, but didn't as aggressively need to respond to it as we did. So that's where a lot of our costs had come up. We had some deputies like the boiler that get paid $12 an hour on a part-time basis. They keep people at $12 an hour.
Well, there's been a it's just industry-wide, that the wage competition, and they go find easier jobs somewhere else at a higher price and less hours, you know. And it's agriculture, it's contracts for the sheriffs, it's ambulance, it's all up and down, and it's hard to compete with. It's like, where did the group of people go? It's how the pools get a lot smaller. And since the pandemic, it's like, did they all retire? It's like,
Currently, I'm not asking them to cover years, but departments are offering bonuses, big bonuses. We can't do that. Yeah, we just don't have it. Aren't you retired? $10,000 or something.
yeah, that's true.
All right, does anybody have any other further questions or comments regarding the sheriff coverage? If not, we'll move it along.
Just when do you start negotiations for the next contract? So just so that we can get it on our schedules to.
It would be at the end of June.
That is something I think should come up in a meeting.
Yeah, we'll give you guys a heads up.
Yeah, because we've kind of, yeah.
So Roger, you said the cameras don't work for Vermont. So I'd have a camera on.
Well, not for profit.
But for tickets, for like on one of these speed cards.
If we can identify a driver, positively identify a driver in the car, and the license plate code, ID the car, there's elements you need to meet to be able to write a ticket.
Yeah.
And or if someone, the video's great, but if someone even sees it and says, yeah, that's John Smith, who lives on Elm Street, he lives on 7.
What was the video that used to play on Channel 50? Do you guys remember that? Channel 15, you could watch Main Street.
Where, was on the,
What, I mean,
On
what
building
something
you used to
like
work
that? Like, I don't know. Just-
they caught a few people.
I've thought about it, I mean, we are doing some network stuff,
Oh.
and I am looking into possibly a loan or two.
Yeah, because I mean, just that awareness,
Yes.
and,
And you could also encourage your comrades who own businesses in the business districts in Enosburg, whether it be Main Street or Depot Street or any of those other streets where there are businesses. Cameras owned by the businesses, outside cameras in particular, really do catch people. They really do. It works.
I wonder if it would be
And they don't
possible
cost that much.
to put a camera up on Main Street or two using those Wi-Fi boosters that we had installed.
I know it worked back in, I mean, I remember people in stores saying, wow. Well, you know, it's just something to,
Because it's not high enough up.
One part is unplugged.
It's always unplugged. It needs to go up higher, and I think the people who installed it know about it, but they just haven't found the time to put it up higher because it was what, the other one's on our porch, right? The one that comes on our porch.
That one there,
The one that park is always on.
because I mounted a cell phone and put it off and go and put it back in, and it just needs to go.
Needs to go.
Those ones, those are yours, right?
No, they were from, Atlanta. I think it's in.
Who's supposed to maintain it?
Before
I think it's something to do with where they started and this kind of thing.
Something Sean did?
Yeah.
John helped with that. He's moving away this week, so I can reach out to him to see if he knows what come back.
He's moving out of Enosburg?
They're moving back to Tampa.
Oh, so he's not in charge of that strategy.
No, he's going to still be doing that. From Tampa.
Here we go. That's how you work.
So,
Okay.
sorry, for those cameras, like if they were, can somebody actually get a ticket or something if that was shared with the police department footage? Does it work like that?
It's possible. Again, we would positively ID the vehicle, get the plate number on the car, and the vehicle. Everything we would need to write a ticket, the individual behind the wheel is positively identified. We also take statements from people. And write a ticket based on someone's statement, provided if it goes to traffic, there you go.
I think it was, I remember because my dad used to have it on and it had background music and so, I mean, it was a pretty clear picture and it was.
I think the problem would be who's going to monitor it.
Well,
if it takes and you know that something happened, you can go back to that date and time.
They're kind of saying like they thought it was more of a
There's
speed,
a lot more notice to that.
motor vehicle incident, not like,
Well, if you hear like
Not
squealing
building.
tires at like 6:24,
Yeah.
then we could email you and say, there was quite a lot of noise at this time frame.
There's a few of us that can hear it. And it goes on like he's going around, or she, around and around. If I have time to run down, take a picture with my phone, I almost have time to do it because they do it for so long,
Right.
they're so obstinate.
I've called the sheriff's department times before on it, but it's just,
Yeah, I don't
how anybody drove by, they're gone.
I don't think it has to be like a 24-hour bomb. It could be like what you were saying. You knew somebody on the water tower road and you were proactive. It could be something like that, where you're seeing the same thing week after week after week. You're like, okay, we're gonna.
Well, I bet if a couple of people got tickets from the cameras or something, we're gonna
Yeah.
get around that.
Because they're not gonna do it when they're in town. They know, they're not gonna do it when they're in town. So I don't think it's a coverage issue per se.
But again, it
I'll
kind of goes
look
back to the like they're complacent about it because they don't ever get in trouble.
All right, so we're gonna look into cameras for now. Is there any other discussion or questions on this? If not, we'll move on to Historical Society. Thank you,
Thank
Audrey.
you very much.
Thank you for coming in, guys. All right, Historical Society, Railroad Museum. Do you want to pick this up? Sure.
Alright, I think everybody's aware the fire marshal did an inspection on the Historical Society, and, yeah, you had the report, right, you guys have it? Outlined several things that needed to be addressed over there. Jesse and myself had a meeting with Cindy, a couple weeks ago now, and we kind of went through the list. If you look through numbers 3 through 11 were things that,
Is this something you guys requested?
no, Cindy actually requested it. There was something that came up that she was concerned about, and called the fire marshal and requested the inspection. So this is the result of that request. Like I said, Jesse and myself personally went over because we wanted to see everything, and I kind of outlined to Cindy that 3 through 11 were stuff that could get addressed pretty quickly. I did ask Cindy today for kind of an update on that. I believe the exit signs are going to be ordered, the oil monitor has been serviced, I believe blue ones, Cindy? Okay. Gary Clow is going to be taking care of the GFCI in the kitchen area. The cabinet has been removed from the bathroom, and number 7 was determined that we are in compliance. Apparently, the fire marshal didn't go all the way in and see that we did actually have all the necessary grab bars, so that one is done. Door handles, Cindy was supposed to be looking into it, somebody to get all of those ADA extension cords have been done. Gary Cloud's looking at the electric panel, and one of the fire extinguishers right by the door is only a 9-pound, it needs to be a 10-pound, so I think we're gonna get on ordering that per our conversation today. And also the oil tank is not on here, but needs to be upgraded, so Cindy's working on that. The other bigger issues are the roof, as everybody's aware, and there's some issues with the railing on the entry ramps need to be done, and when we went through, there were a few other issues that aren't on here that need to be addressed. The second egress is also been not addressed, but it's been pointed out. I do have questions on, with it being a historical building, kind of what the guidelines are there, but Jesse and I were looking into the back left corner is kind of a good spot where a door could go up, and then maybe at the back, but we need to look at property lines, because I don't know how far base comes up, and so we need to kind of address that. We could just do a ramp, but there's the whole railing itself needs to be removed and replaced. It's not ADA, it's not the right height, and right now it's not even attached in a lot of places. There's another section where it needs to be boarded off so people can't go out on the deck. there's just a lot of maintenance stuff that needs to happen. There's some other ADA compliance stuff that's not fire marshal related that needs to happen. There's quite a bit of work. And then the roof is an entire issue in itself. You can just take a look at it. It's in pretty bad condition. Right now, I do have in writing from Jeff Bryant, the fire marshal, that they're allowed to be open, but only a couple of people at a time, and everyone has to sign in and out, because technically it shouldn't be open right now, but he's given the verbal okay. So that's where that's at right now. And speaking with Cindy, it sounds like kind of getting some volunteers and getting people involved has been an issue. I've offered a ton of suggestions to try to market the Historical Society to them a little bit more, trying to get more community involvement, but there's definitely some issues that need to be addressed over there.
So last time this conversation came up, there was talk of naming the town as one of the owners on the feed. Have you guys gotten that?
That's what we're assuming it's just a roof. This bill is getting pretty big now. I didn't realize there was a kitchen and bathroom in there.
So when you walk in, there is a bathroom, and then it's kind of over in the corner, there's just like a little L-shaped kitchenette. Yeah, it's like a little kitchenette with a sink, and then you have, is it just 2 rooms, Cindy? Kind of, you go, there's one room and then,
Those are the,
yeah, I can't remember if there's 2 or 3, that's why I was asking.
To serve whoever's watching the building.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
That's just for whoever's in charge of watching the building, because you're not inviting people in there to eat.
Well, they used to serve refreshments when they had Historical Society meetings.
we don't
You might want to
anymore.
wash it, but you did, which might be why you had a sink.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just curious why the need for some of this stuff is.
Yeah.
Because you can always have a meeting somewhere else, hopefully remember someday.
It's open to the public to come in, so the public has to be saved. If there's a fire, you don't want to be trapped in the back room when you can't get out.
Yeah, I just wondered
Yeah.
what the purpose of the sink was. I
don't know.
realize the bathroom is a necessity.
It may have been there and they replaced it.
Yeah.
It's not much of a, there's no stove. It's just a sink and a cabinet.
I mean, not to add to it, but looking at it, the chimney looks like it needs to be repointed. There's a laundry list of maintenance that hasn't been kept over.
Yeah, it definitely, I haven't been president, a couple of years, but there hasn't been anything done, obviously, for a long time. So it's all falling on this group of board members to try to deal with that. But has there been any progress with getting the town onto the deed?
That's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, right, but I haven't heard him answer it.
I believe our attorney has reached out to your attorney, was the last thing that I heard, and I haven't heard or seen anything since that.
I
know.
reached out and I asked, and I don't believe he has anything.
Okay.
I guess the question now is the board still thinking that they're willing to be put on the deed? I know it looks like, I mean,
I'd like to see the dollar bill on the whole thing.
Yeah.
The roof, I know they're talking about historical integrity, and you have to ask the state's blessing, but I still think a steel roof would be put on that, something a lot cheaper than the.
So
or just
they're saying
reshingle the
right
existing.
now that we can do standing seam. Cindy's gonna forward that email report to
I
me.
did for
Okay, I haven't checked my email
Okay.
tonight. Thank you, Cindy.
Yeah, you can have standing seam. And
Yeah.
But they can't have just a regular.
I wanna
the
ask
standing
that
seam is
question
expensive.
if we can
It's
just
not
do
cheaper.
corrugated steel.
The standing seam,
It's not cheaper.
here,
Standing seam.
standing seam is more, standing seam is more expensive.
Yeah.
Standing seam is 4 times.
That's why I'm saying if it's steel, why can't it be like what I have on my house?
Yeah, just regular roofing
I
seam.
mean, it's good enough for
Because
my
it's
house,
also,
it should
the
be good
roof
enough
needs
for
to be
here.
done, but the eaves need to be addressed. I don't know the last time if you've looked at the building, even up
Yeah,
on
I
the roof,
see one.
even in the center of the room, I mean, it's rippled. Like,
It's
I'm
not as
concerned
easy as
of
just sticking a
raw
post in
meat
there,
up there.
because it's gotta be historical, because there was no people and there was no post up there.
Has anybody had a meeting with the historical people, actually come tour the building and go through it, or is this just all?
Jesse and I had that conversation and plan on setting it up, but between him and I, we've been on vacation, so.
I have had preservation trust here, yes.
They've been,
Preservation.
Yeah, but they haven't seen this laundry list here, and I think it'd be good to have them there, and maybe a board member from each or whatever,
Yeah.
to say, you know, is this what we have to do, or can we do this? And
And
then we can get some dollar figures of what
I
this
have
is
some
actually.
concerns with some of this stuff, because I had spoken with, the fire marshal before, he was supposed to look into if all of this really came into effect, because it's a historical building, and I don't believe that he did, because I've got questions with the egress and all of that, with it being a historical building. So that is something that we do need to explore, because I don't 100% trust everything that's in there, with some of my dealings with it and such.
The last grant I applied for was the Vermont Department of Historic Preservation. Yeah, it was a $20,000 match, so we'd have to match 20, which we have, but it would be 20 more than we had before. And we put in for a shingle roof. And the committee, the grant committee, denied it because they didn't think it was worth the investment to last 15 years. And they have in writing, and I sent it to Abby, that they want a standing seam, you know, a dull colored standing seam, not a orange roof or anything. And then, you know, maybe we can get that grant.
Okay, so
It'll last a lot longer, that's like 25, 30 years.
let's back up way to the beginning, just so I can wrap my head around it again. So the Historical Society leases the building, which is owned by the village,
The village owns the building.
or leases it from the state,
We
I guess.
lease the land from the state. We own the building, and the Historical Society has a lease with the village for use of the building.
Yes, which they are responsible for the
And
maintenance
in the
of.
lease, they are the ones that are responsible for the maintenance of that building.
And the Historic Society is overseen by the town.
No, we're not.
That's,
No?
They're their own.
they're their own kind of, they have their own board
They're not
and
part
Okay,
members.
They're
We're a
501.
C3. We're a C3.
okay.
So the reason, Sam, for my involvement in this, the village carries the insurance on that building, so
Yes.
the liability falls back on us at the end of the day.
Okay, well, I guess in my eyes of seeing the state wants us to do this, they want us to do that, so they have right of first refusal on the sale of that building, correct? I feel like this should be a state issue.
And they're on board for
Yeah.
adding the town, they're on board with it, they want all of the same stipulations that are in the current lease with us. But my understanding was they have no interest of buying back the building.
The state doesn't?
what happens if you guys don't lease that land from the state anymore, then what happens to that building?
That would probably be a question for our
Does it go back to the state?
Yeah, I'm not sure what would happen in that instance.
I think the best thing that could happen is to go back to the state. Because it seems like the Historical Society doesn't have the funds to do this, and neither board really wants to put up the funds for this either.
Is that an hour lease?
It's usually a 15-year lease, I
So
don't
the
know.
only reason I ask that question is because I know that's all one contiguous piece of leased land where it goes from there to Ace all the way down through. I don't think that's, if I remember right, that's not divvied up or anything, is it?
No, it's part of a big release of
No,
Depot
yeah, it
Street
goes,
and
yeah, I'm just wondering.
utilities, and it's a big, the Ace parking lot is actually
Ace
a
parking,
village
yeah.
lease.
It's a mess right there.
Well, I've got, the only reason I'm just saying is, I get what you're saying, Dean, but I know like, the neighbor next door is sort of chipping with them about not paying, I don't believe he has, when I was at Ace, we didn't pay over on the Stetson side of there, and they just kind of don't do anything, so.
I think it's forgotten going on for the
Right,
city for the
right.
most part. It's technically theirs, but it's.
They'll
not
never
right.
give that up. Rail Division has a map and every single thing is documented. Every, like, easement, power line, sewer, water, you name it. They
Well,
have
I think
everything.
a lot of that happened when back with the master lease agreement. I think that was a bargaining chip at the time when you guys had entered into the master lease agreement when they were doing all that. sort of
Yes,
thing.
and they didn't.
And now, right, exactly, so now I think it's probably a little bit of a forgotten piece now that you guys are, because you're paying that once a year, is that how that goes?
Once every 10, I
I
thought.
think it's 10 or 15,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think the question for all of us to think about is renewing another lease. You know, are we going to want to renew another lease and have responsibilities that are huge from a little 501c3 that's $10 a year per member?
But I think
that, you
there's
know,
also a lot of other fundraising and stuff that the Historical Society could be doing. I mean, Sheldon, for example, through fundraising and a bunch of stuff, and grants, restored an entire building. I don't know if anybody has seen their building that they've done, but and that's one thing I suggested to the city, like, call Sheldon to see what they've done, get some of their fundraising. I mean, they are super active. They just did a whole
What building is
day.
that?
The Sheldon Historical Society.
It's in the
It's right in Sheldon, correct?
Used to be juniors, aren't we, Michelle?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's absolutely amazing what they've done, but there's a lot more, in my opinion, that, the Historical Society, if they can band together and get their membership up and get people more interested in it, could do a lot more fundraising to raise these funds, and then there are grants for historical buildings that, I'm happy to work with them on to get, but I think there's a lot of other options before just adding the line item.
Hold on. Susie, before your hand gets super tired.
So, if I'm understanding correctly, the only restrictions on whatever roof you put on it is to keep it on the historical register? Who's saying it has to be?
Yeah. It's part of the
So-
deed,
It's in the deed that it has to be
has to be
passed
approved
through
by
the
the
historic
state.
preservation.
It's in the deed.
Yes,
From who?
from the state to the village.
From the state to the village,
and then the village to us.
and then the village to us.
So that's why we're saying, this was 30, 40 years ago, maybe if we can do a cheaper roof, that is gonna hold out for a lot of years, and make a lot more economic sense.
Just the way this conversation was going was a little alarming. I mean, if you remember the trains that came through this town, picking up the milk, the Jones Company, I mean, the tracks everywhere. You had to cross how many tracks to get anywhere in this town? It is a big history. You look back at St. Albans, who wasn't thinking ahead all the time, and they lost the roundabout, the round building where they would bring the trains in and circle them around, huge historical building that they tore down before anybody was thinking about, preserving history. I think that they've done a wonderful job. They've raised over 20,000. They've donated they raised money to donate and help the Billway in the park. I think I'm kind of with Abby that, if it really got out there and we could get things together, I think it can be managed, and like Cindy said, things haven't been happening for a long time, so it's all scrunched up into this big pile of stuff right now, which happens when there are no building managers, back to the old argument. So that, whoever was on the board is trying to figure it out, and it didn't happen, and now they're trying to figure it out. I think, rather than throw this out, because that kind of was a sense of how that conversation was going, like how important is it? I think it is important.
We're not saying throw the building out, we're just saying that.
I know, but
think
once
could
you
be
give
done
it back to
cheaper
the
than-
state, then you have no control over it,
Oh, if
and
you
you
get it
don't
back
want
to the
that.
state.
Well, we don't have any control over it right now anyway. They're making us build it to a certain,
Well,
degree.
But that does happen to a lot of things, but I think some of the stuff that I was also hearing goes back to why we're talking about this in a joint meeting and having the conversation about the town being part of the deed was the possibility of forward thinking of general fund contributions and support for something that's so valuable to our greater community. It's not a general fund item right now. It's been on the Historical Society's shoulders, and I think that between our two municipalities and working together with the Historical Society, with looking into grants and kind of building up community awareness,
it's very possible we could get it all shiny and follow all of the requirements that we need to follow, and have some more conversations about, like, do we actually really comply with all of that because of its situation? But that's where I thought we were, part of why we're having this conversation.
And I think that was the original intent, and some of that conservation money had come up. But
What's the timeline that we're looking at for, like, what you said fundraising, like, so when is the next
So-
contract?
When is what?
Or when is the next,
This right now?
yeah,
it'd be 2030.
oh.
We just renewed it a couple
Oh, you
years
just-
ago, back when we were doing the monorail
Okay.
stuff.
We didn't, I don't think we renewed it a couple of years ago.
I think.
No, because
like,
you guys have a different lease. So we renewed it from the state a couple of years ago. I want to say your guys' is longer, because remember the last one was in like 1995 or something?
Jonathan said it was every 11 years.
11 years?
10 years.
Well, that's what I do now.
The Historical Society to us is 10 years?
So when is it?
Does the village have a line item that for their buildings that they put money into it each year? This doesn't know.
We have $40,000 sitting there for it right now. It isn't like we haven't done anything.
No, we're not suggesting you're not, we know you are. But we're just trying to figure out, has the village been funding anything into it or not?
Is it just because they lease it that you don't?
Yeah, it says in their lease agreement that they're responsible for
Their
maintenance
lease,
of the
yeah, it's
building.
very specific in their language of their lease that they lease it from us and they are solely responsible for pretty much everything of the building.
You know, is Abe's cabin yours as well? I mean, they lease it too?
I believe, so we hold, the village holds the lease to that, we have the insurance on that as well.
But it just seems like the village is playing middleman between the state and the Historical Society. We don't really need to be here for the
Well,
$1.
so what would the town, what would adding the town do then, if there's no line?
So adding the town, I think this was the idea, kind of back to what Heather was saying, that if it's, it's Enosburg Historical Society, not Enosburg Falls Historical Society. So if we can, if the town is on it, it's a larger money pool.
You're talking about the future.
Go, yeah.
If you go down, similar to what we do with the Opera
Yeah.
House, we set line items and then vote on.
But there's
it every
nothing
year.
there now.
No, there's not. And I mean, if we're looking at, a new roof and all
We do have
this
a
stuff.
line item for historical society that's like $1,000.
Right.
Okay, so as it stands now, like neither municipality is on the hook for this bill, because of the deed, but we could be forward thinking in terms of the general fund of general building maintenance of some sort of support to this historical building that's important to all of us. And then the historical society would continue to do their part as well. But it kind of like help bring us all together for some support.
I just want to throw out that the Historical Society put $9,000 and change into the cabin in the last 5 years also. So, we're stretched. Like I said, I'm relatively new and, looking at things and noticing the roof needs it and a lot of other things need to be done. And it's a lot. And so we're having a discussion with the bodies about maybe a little bit of help.
You
We're
would
not
reach out
asking.
to Sheldon and see what they've done.
I'm happy to, I live in Sheldon, so I have no problem.
Would this mean that the town, would we do all of the historical buildings, the town and village?
We're just targeting this particular.
I'm saying, like, is that the goal, maybe, is to just do all of the historical buildings?
That's
Not
part of
the-
the conversation.
What's that?
Sorry, Sam. But yeah, we had talked about that
Because
over a
it's
year
like,
ago.
which one is, it just
Yeah.
needs a little confusing, yeah.
I guess how many are there? I think there's just a cabin in the freight depot and the opera house? Or is
Cindy,
there
you
more?
had your hand raised?
Oh, sorry.
Cindy's.
We said that before.
Sorry, well, you may all be offended by what I'm going to say, so, back when I was trustee, we're still having the same conversation and nothing's been done. So what I'm hearing or seeing is you're gonna keep talking till it falls down, and then there will be no historical society. And that's a shame, because if this town didn't have that history, there would be no town, is all I'm saying. It's a lot of talk and a whole lot of no
The
action.
last joint meeting we had, we brought the suggestion up that we cannot act on property that doesn't belong to us.
Well, I understand that, but when
That's
I was
the
a
issue.
trustee, she came and asked for money and you wouldn't give her money.
'Cause it
Well,
was
they
a-
wanted to be on the deed, and that's what
Well,
I
I
asked.
understand that, but it's still a part of the town, it's still the same history. Their name doesn't need to be on it in order for them to preserve the history of this town. is what
We'd be
I'm
setting
saying.
precedent on other buildings that the village owns.
Is there any other one?
The village owns a lot of properties.
But I mean buildings.
They own a lot of buildings. So if we fix the Freight Depot without our name being on it, maybe the next group of people might expect their office building to be fixed.
I think it's a great idea that, you know, I got all the entities together, the V-Trans lawyer, the fellow to get his lawyer, and then the village, you know, got together, is ready to move. So that's why I was asking about the town. Is their lawyer talking to these other two lawyers? And get that part done.
It's been sent to Dawn.
The deed has not been sent to Dawn.
So our lawyer hasn't sent it, because I was under the impression from our lawyer that he was now waiting for Vaughn, which I can follow up on tomorrow.
Right, that would be great. Because
Okay.
last I talked to Vaughn, it was before he went on vacation.
He did not have anything. Okay, I will follow up with our attorney, because I was under the impression he was drafting it and sending it to Vaughn.
Okay. So,
Yeah, that's Jesse. Yep.
So, could we, for the next joint meeting, just kind of like capture some of this, come with a list of potential properties that make sense for both municipalities to oversee so that we don't have to keep talking about this one building at a time?
I think this is the only one that's come up though, hasn't it?
Well, I guess like we could both like take some time and look into it, just so that we've been thorough about it, so that we don't come up to.
I guess what we need to do really is figure out the direction that we want to go. Do we want to just have the village put money in? Do we want to make a town-wide, call it whatever you want, historic building preservation fund? Use some of those preservation funds that you guys had for a while. Make a new account specific to that building, the historical society maybe? Like how do we want to go from here?
we don't have a line or a fund right now. Is that what you're saying?
Right, I'm trying to figure out what we want to do.
Well,
Like, do we want
I'm
to
just
create
saying,
one?
I'm a little confused by what you said, because we don't currently have a line for historical.
Yeah,
We have the conservation one.
I understand, yes.
You have a line for
But
the
do we
other.
want to create one?
Right.
That way, in the future, like, let's just say we put $3,500 a year, $5,000 a year, $10,000, whatever the number is, into a historical, could be Enosburg Historical Building Maintenance Fund or whatever. And that could be used for the Opera House, the depot, pretty much any building that we see to be historical. We would have the oversight of that account.
Is there a chance that, I'm amazed that the lease has, you doing a lease with a nonprofit that they charge $10 a year for their members and they get, they get some visitation and it is good for the general public to be able to come in, but I don't think they charge a fee to come in. So they're coming in for free. It's surprising that the village owns that or is leasing that and has not put any money at all into the upkeep. Could there be something, and I know that there was some sticker shock here with this list, could there be some kind of agreement where you guys agree, we'll take care of some of these issues and then continue the talk about moving it to joint ownership and putting it in the general fund? So it's not like, wow, you're handing us a building that needs everything and the village has done nothing, it's all been on this little nonprofit. Maybe you do a little bit to help it out and then move it over?
So as it was said earlier, we are the insurance carrier on this building.
Yep.
So we are ultimately responsible for all the liability from, let's say, a damaged roof or a missing handrail or whatnot. So back before probably all of our time, somebody signed those two lease agreements.
Yep.
So I think it might have been, the village was a stepping stone towards the historical society being in that building.
Yep.
And this is the only way it could happen.
Could be.
Either way, the terms were clearly different back then, and
Yeah.
everyone was happy with it, and the historical society probably had a building that didn't need a lot of repair, probably had a lot more influx of money or memberships or you name it.
Yep.
So everyone agreed to those terms then, but right now it's becoming a problem.
Right.
So
That was 20 years ago when they moved the historical society from above the town clerk, I guess, to the museum, and I'm sure the roof was good and nobody was thinking, or maybe, I don't know, but I would think twice before I signed out, wouldn't you? Before you signed into that kind of a debt?
If we started a fund, a general fund.
What would happen if
Buildings
we,
that aren't in our name, we can transfer funds to.
what would happen if we were to move the historical society again?
To where?
The armory.
Somebody has to be in charge.
But, and then you have a building, the village has a building that you have to put the roof on anyway. So, yeah,
We only have to have a lease on it. We could move it again.
they own it.
Cindy, how many visitors do you have a year over there, do you know?
For grants, I think it's 250.
How many visitors do you have?
How many visitors a year, or do you know how many people go through there? Any idea?
250.
250 people go through a year?
And that's from the June, we were from June to October, June to
Yeah,
end of September, October.
it's not heated in the winter.
Yeah.
It's not heated in the winter, although the front room could be, and there is a monitor in the second room. So I don't know why, you know, the heater's there if they're not using it. I don't know. I haven't found out.
Yeah. Now that
A lot of people are dead that did this.
the 250 you say go through there, is that public or is that
Public.
your historical society meetings? Is that,
Well,
how does that work?
we used to meet there, but it's pretty small, so it's hard to get. The meetings have been bigger, we're building, the organization is bigger, there's more activity, more volunteers and stuff. So now it's a little tight in there, and of course there was COVID for the last how many years. So we're in a bigger building, actually we have that room next week, or we met in the Opera House last month. That was empty, we had lots of reading room. So that's what it looks like. This is all the stuff I'm looking at and saying, this is a challenge.
wasn't there an issue that you had with one of the grants that you applied for a couple of years ago? That they wanted the town named in it or something?
No, there was one grant I couldn't get because you did own it. That was fairly recently. And the last issue was the state historic saying they weren't, the board who decides on the grants didn't want to invest their 20 grand, matching our 20 grand, into shingles because we'd be back, in less than 20 years.
So you got one
So-
state agency saying that you need to put shingles on for the historical preservation, with another state agency coming back saying, well, no, we don't wanna pay for shingles.
It sounds like a lot of that list still needs to be hashed out.
It'd be really nice if we could have the right personnel from Historical Society
Meet us at.
present with both of us, and we
I
can.
agree.
And V-Trans, or
Yeah.
whoever we got
Just
that
like
building
the whole
from.
part.
I'm recalling this though, Cindy, Sam, one of the grants, they said that they didn't own the buildings, so they couldn't be applicants because they don't own the buildings. So
Yes,
then it came to the
okay.
village, but timing and stuff, and it was confusing, and it was all during the pandemic.
The people I'm working with now, I'm talking to, I talked to them about why we didn't get it, and then found out that it was because we asked for shingles. Another organization was fine with shingles, but we didn't get that grant. So I'm having a conversation with them and ready to apply again. We've had good marks for getting the grant, and now that, of course, the roof came in, the bid was $58,800. That's not the eaves. So it's going up every year we wait, it's another 20 grand. It's a big roof, actually, you wouldn't know it, but it's a big roof.
Is there more opportunity for grants if the historical society owns the building?
Well, there was the one grant that denied us, so it's like, it was a yes there.
I think it would depend on what grant that they're looking for, and I wasn't here, I don't know why the village didn't apply.
We
I
get
don't-
some grants, and we don't own the building, and then other grants, we have to apply through the name of the town, so I think it's just,
It depends on
who
what
you're
you're,
using as the applicant.
Yeah. I think it all comes down to where you're trying to get the financing from.
And then I wonder if they can actually own it because of our fee. I just wonder.
I think that as long as you get the state first right of refusal, the
You
state
can even
signs
get the
off on
state
it,
store
they
guy
should.
here and hash it out.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about, like, get the historical preservation, a state representative from wherever we got that, I'm assuming Vermont Rail Division.
Yeah.
Everybody together in the same room, that way we can figure all this out.
Yeah.
But yes, I think Abby, that's a good idea, offer the building to the Historical Society.
See if we can offer.
But I still,
And that's first right of refusal, and if the state refuses, whatever, but if they take it back, that's also,
but I am still a little wary of, I guess the question is about the historical society, the actual contents of what's in that building, yes, can be moved. But that building is historical itself, and does that matter to us and the communities? And if the answer is yes, then we need to be looking and working with the historical society, who's the tenants, of getting this preserved. So there's two different ways of approaching it, but it's not just about the contents of the inside. It's about the physical building and what that
And
is for.
more than likely, we're talking historic site, it's gonna be a common goal that it stays standing. So I guess then it's the common sense part. This is what we can afford, this is what needs to be done to keep it standing. If they want it standing, you want it standing, I think you have a common goal. I don't think it would be historical society saying,
Right,
what do you
and
think that's again, you know?
at what point do we just say, let the state do whatever they want, we're gonna do it because our building's falling down, we're gonna do it how we wanna do it because it is our building, and we can, and then whatever the historical guy says, took too long, it's ours, we did it, so, at what time does it come to that crossroads, because just like the salt shed, all the hoops and strings attached to state money,
But I think
sometimes it's not even worth taking.
That meeting has to happen, like, you have to try that meeting first with the state.
The historical.
Yeah, the historic. And then maybe cross that.
Yeah.
I think with historical and rail division or somebody from the state ought to be on that same meeting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'll try to get everybody in the same room so we can actually ask these questions answered that we can't answer.
And if it's, it doesn't have to be a joint meeting, we can just,
You can, yeah,
one or two of us
one
could be
or two of
invited to
you.
go to your meeting.
Yeah, yeah, I will work on.
Yeah, I hate to kick the can down the road, but I think that's what we're gonna have to do. Get somebody from everywhere in the same room.
And also reach out to Sheldon though, because like I said, they've done a lot of amazing stuff with us over the last few years.
They may have the name of the people that you need to be.
Yeah,
They found their way
Point
around
people.
some of the
Yeah.
hoops they didn't have to jump through.
yeah, so I have no problem making that contact.
Can you get that scheduled for one of our meetings within a month or two?
I'll try to get it on by the
We'll
end of
reach out
August.
to you guys and have somebody.
I'm gonna say, Abby, the other thing you and I talked about too, and it might be worth it, is going through the actual site itself with historical and getting some eyes on, and that way we know, okay, the egress, because like you said, there's a whole different set of building code for historical.
And I specifically,
We can do it all.
Tour, then let everybody see it at the same time.
yeah, because like I said, I have some concerns, because I specifically had that conversation with Jeff Bryant before he did this report. And so I've got to read through all the historical coding, but there's not a single mention of any historical coding in this report. So I don't feel like it was actually addressed, and so I have questions on a couple of things in here.
Cool.
All right, is that it for that one?
I have one more question. It's unrelated but related. The Historical Society has to have handicap, access. And I was down the street today, going in and out of the stores and eating at Garcia's and going into the health food store. Why is it that the businesses, we have not that many people from the public that come in compared to the businesses down the street? And why is it that they don't have to have handicap access? It just came to me today. I mean, you cannot get into Wood Meadow Market or the Disc. What is the
Wood Meadow Market and the Flying Disc, I believe, both have, and so does Garcia's if they use it. Both have, well, shall we call it a step cover, a portable ramp, a small portable ramp that is provided if needed. And the veterinary clinic has one as well, has a by request handicap entrance also.
Wood Meadow has a sign right on the door that says
Handicap
you have to
ramp
call the
available.
number and Pat will come out.
Okay,
and
well,
there's a ramp that
it
goes
just
up.
came to me today and I thought, how can this be? Okay, you answered my question, thank you.
All right, is that it for historical building? Let's move on to emergency services park land transfer.
So, I guess I'm asking, so we sent off the person sales.
Larry hasn't come back. Our lawyer hasn't approved it yet, he was on vacation.
Which is good, and I can send a copy around with the picture. I guess we're not saying no to it, but I'm asking to buy time. David Henry wants a picture of that. Sorry. You need more? I have one.
I'll take one.
Okay.
You have a couple more, right?
Yes, I do.
I know.
So the reason I asked is so I can get further information into, if you look at the picture, so the property that we're talking about, you can see on the right-hand side, I failed geometry, but it's almost a triangle there on the right. So that is the land that would be the person sales that we're working on. And this all started prior to me coming on board as a manager. It was kind of almost in the end.
Can you just, sorry.
So this section right here on the road, so this is Water Tower Road. And then this, you can see, I'm sorry, in the black and white, it's a little hard to see, but.
Yeah, this square.
Yeah, it's the same.
How many, so you can use it for,
Does everybody see the land now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, again, look at paint in the black and white picture. If you look kind of just to the left, you can see the golf course road, or the road on the golf course.
Cart path, yeah.
Cart path.
A little U-shaped thing?
Exactly. So if you look there, and then you'll see the little white rectangle, that's VEC. Owns that little section there, even though the golf course, you can drive by it and owns it, so forth.
Vermont Electric Co-op.
Vermont Electric Co-op. So again, very faintly, there's two pole routes. You can kind of see, it looks like two T's on either side of Water Tower Road. Everybody with that so far?
Yeah.
So that's Velco lines. And then very faintly, you'll see one pole kind of on the right-hand side.
Right next to the boundary?
Right next to the boundary. So you can't really see any other pole, but if you kind of draw a line right up through, that's again, VEC, Vermont Electric Co-op. That's their transmission line. And then the other one is Velco transmission line. I would just like that to buy some time with this property, either we may still sell it all in one piece or a partial of it. And the reason I'm asking is because part of what I'm looking at through the village and our power purchase and our transmission costs are very high right now. And we get a lot of that through VEC, not at this location. It comes out of off of Orchard, Little Birch Lane back there. That substation is where we buy from, but essentially think of it as an interstate system. We're buying a lot of and paying a lot for transmission lines. So I have reached out to Velco to find out what the odds are of us putting a substation in there. So I'm just trying to find some information on that before we go through the sale.
So a substation on that piece right
On that parcel,
The
yes.
original intent when the village bought that land was for a substation, and then the plans changed down the road. John and I have been looking at our, like I said, our purchase power and our transmission costs. Like our power that powers all of the village, it's from, and parts of the town is from VEC. So right now, if VEC, that their line goes down, we're off. So the thought process here is it would cut costs for our transmission, because right now VEC controls the cost, and we had a set contract, and now it's basically they can charge us whatever they want to charge us for the transmission, and we're talking, our budget for that is just shy of $900,000 a year. So John's exploring if we look into continuing with the original plan of a substation up there, then we can connect directly with Velco and eliminate VEC, therefore eliminating such a large, we still have some transmission costs, but not as big as what it is, and then we're more self-reliant, so if something happens to VEC with their line that connects to us, we could still maintain power through the village and town and everybody. That's the thought process right now, a little bit, is to...
It would be redundancy. So we probably wouldn't totally get rid of VEC, but they would still have that substation, and if something happens in their lines down the road somewhere, we still have power, we can...
Which we can appreciate. My worry is rec fields, recreation. Is this dangerous? Is it?
We have one right by
How
our
big
building.
is it? I mean, the kids are around here. Sometimes they're not always well supervised.
It would be fenced in and locked, just like any other substation, I believe, is required to be. I mean, we have a small substation by our office, and I don't believe it would be a whole lot bigger than
It
that.
shouldn't have to be
I
that.
think from what Dave said, I don't think it would be much bigger than that. And essentially, I mean, it's probably
And that's,
this room.
right, and that's one of the questions I have for them, is what's the setbacks for rec fields or homes, or, and I know I drive, there's one on Sand Hill in Essex, that's like, I don't know if you've seen that one, but it's like literally right in Sand Hill in Essex, and there's two houses, 30 feet on either side of it. So that's part of the questions I'm trying to find out.
Yeah.
And most of it's not. We
Um,
have the blocks.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get information on, like, the realistics of it.
Did you happen to check on easements for those, for VEC?
Well, that's,
Because that would be close enough to probably have an easement attached if they do have.
yeah, well, it's 50 feet. They have a 100-foot swamp.
Right.
I mean, that's what they are doing. They'd have to look into,
So that deed was free?
sorry,
That deed for that piece of land was free of easements from VEC?
this one?
Yes.
Our land that we
I
have
don't
now,
know.
is what you're asking.
Yeah, so we would also have to check on that too, because if they're gonna do land transfer or whatever, they may own the land closest to the water.
Well, again, you're talking, yeah, correct. I don't know what the CIA had asked if there's swamp.
Yeah, lots of more discussion.
So this is our, just right here.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we wanna,
This,
I'd say go through with this. Yeah, either way, I think we're still gonna go ahead with a plan, whether it be we break off a little chunk of that and like subdivide our substation portion, or the town, we include it in on the, you know, I guess the purchase agreement that we have a right to put.
Before you go through that, expense and having to do some more. We can look at the plan again to see if it's, because I think that section was where we were gonna kind of do some parking anyways, so we can reconfigure some stuff. 'Cause there was initially a pond, and nobody's fond of ponds with children. Right? So that wasn't gonna happen anyway. So we can take a look too and let you know if we can move some stuff.
Parking is a huge issue. You got 2 emergency services, and you have a bunch of games going out here, and people don't, way out of town, they, here's a spot, boop, 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 so.
We've been doing the Wednesday night soccer camp with my kids here, and it is like treacherous, getting in and out of here, like you literally are taking your life in your hand, and trying to figure out how to get out of here, and then with kids running every direction, it's definitely an issue.
I guess the short of it is, I'm gonna say it's off, yeah, if you could revisit what your plans are and let me do some due diligence on my end and find out setbacks and easements. Again, we would have to cross DEC and all electric at some point.
One of
so
the
that-
plans is also putting parking down here.
Yeah,
where the basketball court is.
That's just.
Have to get rid of
We wanna try to keep it
that,
all.
that would have to go back here, and,
Made more sense to just keep it.
If we
Up
can,
here to
if
Big
we
Mall.
can condition everybody to use water tower, that's
Right.
correct.
Hey, I've been trying.
Emergency services this way, it would be good.
Okay, well, we just wanna keep you on the loop with that. You good? Any other questions?
Did we set a meeting for the next joint
We
meeting?
haven't. It's a good idea to do that right now. What are we looking at, October, November?
October would be probably.
I just want to,
It would be what?
October would probably.
Did the Wednesday work for everyone? I like that better because there's no regular meeting to push through or hurry up for. Yeah, yep. So we have Wednesdays that are the 5th, 12th, 19th, or 26th. Anywhere in there?
You're talking October?
October, yes.
From a farmer's point of view, it would definitely be the last 2 weekends, because corn's gonna be late this year,
You wanna do the 26th?
it's gonna be better.
Sound good?
Yep.
26th of October,
6:30?
6:30, here.
Cool.
And hopefully it won't be 90 degrees.
I'll tell you, I got I took a shower break, I didn't know what was gonna come, it's like, the heat. Well, I finally out a little thin on the top, and like looking around for a hat today.
If you get in touch with historic preservation, you can
We're still in a meeting.
were you thinking full board or just the village board?
Motion's to adjourn.
I think there's one or two words that I have done before, and I'll put on it. Sure. My thought process.
Any other business? Motion to adjourn from my word. I heard Eli first, second.
We're gonna need a little.
Mr. Leonard, all those in favor say aye.
Adjourn this meeting, but continue on. The joint. Being in motion, second time we join the joint meeting, continue our own meeting afterwards. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.